As Dio stepped away, a shout drew Karras's attention. A legionary was running down the small hill where Karras had dispatched Janus's century. "Sir," the legionary said excitedly, "the enemy!" "Where's your salute?" Karras demanded, poking him in the chest armor. The legionary was young, and likely had been one of the fresh recruits that had arrived toward the end of the winter. The legionary blinked, drew himself up into a position of attention, and saluted. "Now," Karras said, regretting having left his vine cane with the baggage train, "kindly give me your report." "The enemy is in sight," the legionary said. "We can see them from the hilltop there. They are swarming around our boys. Centurion Janus reports that both cohorts have formed a defensive square and are moving in our direction at a steady pace. The square's lines are solid and holding. He told me to make sure I told you that, sir." "How many of the enemy?" "He says he estimates their number to be near 10,000. Karras closed his eyes for a moment. The Legion, with her auxiliary cohorts, numbered near 13,000, and the enemy was likely striking the rear of the column as well. "How about our flank, on the other side of the hill? Any enemy spotted there?" "No, sir," the legionary said. "Just to our front." "How far away are they?" "At their current pace." The legionary thought a moment before responding. "Less than a quarter mile, sir." "Advise your centurion to keep an eye out should the enemy attempt to flank us. I want to know the moment they attempt that." "Yes, sir," the legionary said, and saluted before jogging back the way he had come. Karras moved up to the line. The men were standing loosely in formation, the bottom of their shields resting on the ground. There was talking in the ranks, but the atmosphere was subdued and tense. Karras pushed his way through to the front and called the centurions of the 8th to him. Once they were all present, he had them gather around. He could hear the fighting now, and with each passing moment it appeared to get louder. "4th and 6th cohorts are hard-pressed right around that bend," Karras informed them. "They are moving back toward us and should be here shortly. We are going to let them through our ranks and then hold the line." Karras paused to look around the gathered officers. "We cannot allow our line to break," Karras told them. "We stick it to them. We bleed them good." "What about the rear of the column and the followers?" Centurion Gannerus asked. Karras read genuine concern in the man's eyes. Gannerus had a family and had been permitted by the previous legate to officially marry. His wife was good enough, but the kids were an ill-disciplined lot. "I've sent Valens back with orders," Karras said. "We have to concern ourselves with what is coming down the road toward us first. Let me worry about the rear and the followers. Understand me?" There were nods all around. Gannerus gave a nod also. "Good. Then get back to your men." Karras watched as the centurions of the 8th stepped away. The distinct thundering of hooves against the ground drew his attention. Karras turned to see the cavalry trooper riding hard back toward them. He was pursued closely by 5 enemies on horseback, carrying an assortment of swords and spears. The enemy wore heavy furs and animal skins over their armor. Karras had learned long ago that the wealthiest of the enemy, typically their nobles, were the only ones who could afford horses and the expensive furs. "You men," Karras ordered to the nearest, pointing at those he wanted. "Ready javelins." A dozen men stepped forward a pace to make room and prepare for a toss, drawing the deadly weapons back and aiming. Each had drilled countless hours with the javelin to develop a deadly proficiency, and it was this skill Karras was counting on to make an exceptionally difficult toss successful. "Make sure you do not hit our man." Karras raised his hand and held it there as the trooper, desperate to escape his pursuers, leaned forward in the saddle and dug his heels in for all he was worth. A well-thrown spear sailed within inches of his head,